So it's the new year or new month, and let's pretend for a moment that you've decided you want to become rich. Maybe you're sick of eating mihogo for dinner every night. Maybe you recently became overwhelmingly inspired by your favorite rapper 50 Cent, and like him, you also want to get rich or die trying, and then go bankrupt a few years later. Now, if you approach trying to get rich like most people do, here's how you probably conceptualize it. Probably start out by making 10,000 shillings, and then you say, okay, great. Now let's try and make 100,000 shillings. Shit, that was hard. Now let's try and make 1,000,000 shillings. You eventually get there, but now it's 3 years later, and the mere thought of working until you have 10 million shillings makes you want to give up all your possessions and go back to the village. You say shove it and buy a 6-inch flat screen TV. Ah, that feels better. Dreams of party at Zanzibar evaporate along with most of your savings. That's how most people try and do it. And if you've even noticed, most people aren't rich. In fact, most people are quite the opposite. This is not a coincidence. In case you haven't read a few books on wealth accumulation, this is how people who actually get rich do it. They start out by making 10,000 shillings, then invest that 10,000 shillings in a skill or training or asset, and then eventually get a net of 100,000 shillings. They then take that 100,000 shillings and again reinvest it in more skills, more training, and more assets, and they eventually end up with 1,000,000 shillings. They take that 1,000,000 shillings and reinvest it back again into more skills, more training, and more assets, and eventually they end up with 10 million shillings. They then take that 10 million shillings and repeat the process again until eventually they end up bowling in Zanzibar like Mo Dweji. These are the two mindsets of building wealth. People who stay poor see money as something to be spent. People who become rich see money as something to be invested. You can call it the spending mindset versus the investing mindset. One gets you rich and one keeps you treading water, always fighting to keep your face above the surface. So why am I going over all of this? Because it applies to creating habits and achieving goals as well. In fact, it's the same exact concept. Let's take the most cliche goal. I want to lose 10 kilograms and look sexy. I think almost everyone has had this goal at some point. In most cases, the day or week after making it, you sign up for gym or start some sort of home workout and force yourself to go 5 or 6 times over the ensuing months, mostly out of guilt because you spent so much damn money and you feel like you should use it. But you have no idea what you're doing. And my God, look at all those skinny, sweaty people here. Wow, I feel so lazy just watching them. Can this treadmill go any slower? I'm tired. I want chapati. Or maybe ice cream. Maybe chapati with ice cream. And this is the real reason you actually go to the gym. So you can eat 5 chapatis made out of ice cream. And forward 1 month later, and you're back to body melding yourself into the fabric of your sofa, watching Empire or Scandal, and wondering how is that all of your clothes seem to be shrinking at the same time. Yes, the struggle is real. The problems with the conventional pursuit of goals is that people tend to rely too much on self-discipline and don't bother forming useful habits. People tend to bite off more than they can chew, so to speak, setting goals that are far above their ability or knowledge level, and then becoming frustrated when they make little to no progress towards them. People are tempted to take shortcuts to achieve a goal that may actually sabotage themselves in the long run, like starving yourself to lose weight or cheating to get a good grade on a test. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That's all true, but perhaps there's a better approach. Lose 20 kilograms this year is actually a shitty goal to begin with. That's because it's born from the same spending mindset that keeps people broke, or in this case, keeps them overweight. They view life in the overly simplistic terms of do a lot of X, eventually you get Y. Just like forcing yourself to work and save for 20 years is unlikely to get you rich, forcing yourself to go to the gym dozens of times is unlikely to make you lose much weight and keep it off. Goals like this require an intense amount of effort, yet they never seem to stick. Eventually, your energy and discipline run out and you fall right back to the same person you were, except now you feel defeated. That's because it's better to invest your limited focus and energy on building habits rather than specific goals. Just like you want to take the money you earn and put it to work for you, you want to take the effort you expend in changing yourself and put it to work changing you as well. People usually don't focus on habits because goals sound much sexier in our heads. They feel more motivating in the moment when we think about them. Like, yeah, this is my year. I'm gonna become president. Just watch. That's a clear image of a certain result in our head, and that gets us excited. Habits, on the other hand, don't sound as sexy in our heads. They are long-term and repetitive, which makes them seem boring. And there's no clear image one can imagine for going to the gym every morning for a year, or only drinking alcohol on weekends. Like you. You don't get this rush of inspiration imagining yourself eating a salad for lunch every day. You don't lay in bed at night fantasizing about making your bed every morning. Goals are a one-time bargain. They are the spending mindset. I will spend X amount of energy to receive Y reward. Habits are an investing mindset. Habits require one to invest one's effort for a little while and then take the rewards of that effort and reinvest them in a greater effort to form even better habits. This is why so many people who lose weight end up gaining it back and then some. They focus on singular goals rather than developing underlying habits. So when their energy and discipline runs out, and it always does because self-discipline is limited, they balloon back to their original selves. With habits, on the other hand, there's no single endpoint that must be reached. The only goal of habits is that the goal is never over. It's a simple daily or weekly repetition that one does until muscle memory and brain chemistry kicks in and you're now performing the desired action on autopilot. With goals, every day you go back to the gym feels harder. With habits, after a while, it feels harder not to go to the gym. Therefore, it is a better investment of one's finite energy and discipline to focus on building habits. It's still fine to have goals. Hell, I'd like to lose some fat and build these guns in the next month or so, but that's not what my mind will focus on. Instead, I will look at the habits that underlie that goal. That will make that goal an inevitability. Eating better, walking more often instead of taking a Bajaj, developing a workout plan, and then focus on those. The weight loss then naturally occurs as a side effect. Okay, so now that we can see how much more important habits are in achieving our goals, you're probably wondering, so do all habits lead to achieving goals? The answer is obviously no. Some habits are better than other habits because some habits, once acquired, make other positive habits much easier to acquire as well. For instance, quitting smoking is hard, but some data suggests that taking up some form of exercise such as jogging or cycling can make it easier for someone to quit. These are sometimes referred to as Keystone habits. They are habits that, once adopted, will spread into other areas of your life, which makes acquiring other desirable habits more natural and require less effort. These Keystone habits can be viewed as compounding habits because, much like compounding returns on an investment over a long enough period of time, they can increase the richness of your life exponentially. Goals by themselves generate linear growth and change. Habits are capable of generating exponential growth and change. But since not all habits are built the same, you could say that different habits have higher or lower interest rates, therefore making some habits far better initial investments of your energy and discipline than others. Another reason why typical goal setting sucks is because of the time horizon. Going back to our original example, if I say something like, I want to lose 20 kilograms this year, it becomes that much easier for me to put off starting the goal until June, July, or whenever, at which point it becomes almost entirely unfeasible. Research shows that habits only need about 30 days of consistent effort to install themselves in our brains. At that point, they begin to become automatic. Pick a habit you want to adopt and then do it every day for 30 days. It's just 30 days. Anybody can do something for 30 days. Once you do it, it should begin to feel automatic and you can then start adding more depths into that habit. Or you can move on to another habit. Hopefully by now you're starting to see the bigger picture. and you're starting to understand why you've failed to achieve so many goals you've set for yourself in the past. Setting a goal like I want to lose 15 kilograms for my wedding, or I want to get a promotion this year, and then forcing yourself to just do a bunch of shit until it happens is akin to saying I want 100 billion shillings and then deciding to work 120-hour work weeks until you get there. It is almost certainly going to make you miserable and burn you out. And even if you do get there, like a person who wins the lottery and immediately spends it all, you're guaranteed to lose it soon after. The correct way to make 100 million shillings, as we've discussed, is to start small and then intelligently reinvest what you've earned. So stop trying to scale linearly and instead scale exponentially. We have also seen that some habits scale more exponentially than others. Therefore, it makes more sense to use your energy to develop habits with the highest rate of return first and then move on to other desired habits later. In the next video, I will highlight 6 keystone habits that, if properly employed, will put you at a massive advantage and on the correct track to achieving most of your goals. Hey guys, thanks again for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave your comments in the comment section below, and please subscribe to the channel to see more videos like this.